Hello, everyone, and welcome to our program titled PA Chamber Members Save with Total Energy Solutions and Procurement. My name is Carrie Shepard, Marketing Analytics Manager for APPI Energy, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Please note that all participant lines are muted. Please submit questions anytime during the session by using the Q&A box on the bottom of your screen. Our presenter today is Jane Seagrave-Sidebottom, Vice President of Marketing and Business Development with APPI Energy. Joining us as well this afternoon is Lori Rennie, Director of Marketing with the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry. Welcome, Lori. Let's get started.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you for having me, and good afternoon to everybody out there. I wanted to take a few minutes to introduce our presenter today, good friend of mine, Jane Seagrave-Sidebottom. Jane and I have been working together for many years and helping other Pennsylvania Chamber members like you save money and create budget certainty for your business. And in fact, they were just at the economic forecast with us last month. They're not just a preferred provider for the Pennsylvania Chamber, and they've been one since 1999, but we're also a very happy client of APPI Energy. Currently, there are over 370 member accounts and a total of 7,967 service accounts throughout the Commonwealth. And yes, they provide electricity and natural gas procurement, but this year they're rolling out the Energy Solutions Division for efficiency projects and improved sustainability. So I hope you all enjoyed the program and look forward to any of your feedback. Take it away, Jane.
Great. Thank you so much, Lori. And yes, I do have to add, Lori and I have been great colleagues and great friends and have really worked very diligently together to build this program to make it a great member benefit for so many of their members. It's just been an amazing relationship. So wanted to share that as well. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about where it is that we work. Yes, I know that I'm talking to Pennsylvania folks, and we certainly work in the Commonwealth and have tremendous business there and have had a great opportunity there to help many of the PA Chamber members in Pennsylvania, as well as our 30 other PA association relationships. But we also know that your businesses may also have locations in other states. So we wanted to share with you which states are deregulated for both electricity and natural gas. You can see the green states are our main procurement states for both electricity and natural gas. And many of the PA Chamber members also have businesses in Maryland, Delaware, Ohio, New York. And we wanted you to know that if you do have locations in these green or blue states, that we can help you as well, not only in your Pennsylvania locations, but these locations as well. And also so you know that you are working with a national company. We work, again, in all of these states, and we are, quite frankly, an international company with roots right here in the Mid-Atlantic. And what I wanted to share with you kind of from a macro level and looking at the markets and what are the markets doing. Right now, this is the chart that shows the PJM wholesale market settlements. PJM stands for Pennsylvania, Jersey, Maryland. This is the grid system that controls our electricity flow in Pennsylvania, of course, and Maryland, where we're located, and also Jersey, and some other parts a little bit beyond that. But what I really wanted to share with you is not necessarily the amount of the price of the kilowatt hours by megawatt, by the way, but I also wanted to share with you the volatility that we see in the market. So what we'd like to do is provide an opportunity for you to enter into a fixed price agreement so that this volatility in the market is really taken off the table for you. And you don't have to worry about huge spikes in cost. If you are currently with the utility, or if you're on a variable rate product that's not a fixed price product, you are subject to these market spikes. So with our program, we really like to bring you back to a fixed price product to provide you not only with a lower price, but also with budget certainty. And we'll talk a little bit about that as we progress in the program. The next chart shares with you the natural gas prices and historically what they have been doing as well. You can see with the natural gas prices that it's not as spiky as it was with the electricity markets. The natural gas markets, of course, we can store natural gas, so the volatility isn't as great as it is in the electricity markets. But you can see that recently, February, March timeframe, we did see a large increase in cost in natural gas. That was primarily due to weather events and the cold surges that we saw throughout the United States and the Midwest areas in particular. And our levels of storage for natural gas are much lower today than they were 5 years ago. So we look at that and look at all of what's going on in the macro markets, both electricity and natural gas. And then from there, we can really hone it down to Pennsylvania and then hone that down into your particular utility and really provide you with insights about what's going on. Of course, well, we can start globally because it is definitely a global market. We've seen huge increases in LNG exports as well as exports into Mexico. We are a net exporter of natural gas. So we can talk globally, but I know that you're here to talk a little bit more, more locally. So let's move on and talk about that a little bit. What I wanted to introduce to you is a sister company of ours, which is the Energy Research Council. This is a company that is our benchmarking and research arm for APPI Energy. It is a proprietary database that we have access to for you, the PA chamber members. And we, through this database, we capture pricing from every supplier that we work with in every deregulated utility. Again, we're able to bring insights all the way down to your utility level. And we do that through benchmarking of historical prices. We get pricing in every day from the 36 plus vetted suppliers that we know, like, and trust. There are hundreds and hundreds of suppliers in the United States. However, we really choose to only work with about 36 of them. So that in and of itself is a huge benefit for you as a member of the PA Chamber. We look for the trends for the forward price curves. What do we anticipate to happen going forward? Now, of course, we don't have a crystal ball, and we can't tell you for sure what's going to happen in the future because it is a market and there is market volatility. However, with these price trends, typically history dictates the future. So we can look to that and provide you with concrete insights. We can look to when is a good time for you to buy your next contract for electricity and natural gas, and for how long should you be in the market this time that you're buying. Perhaps last time you negotiated your contract for a 12-month period. Well, we would tell you, and you'll see in a few minutes, that we anticipate the forward curves, the outward pricing 36 months and beyond, to be lower than a shorter term contract. So keep that in mind when you're buying electricity, and we can help you with those insights. And then, of course, we do collect and analyze all the supplier pricing. We really make sure that it's truly green apples to green apples comparisons, and that the components that we are capturing in one supplier's price are the same components that we're capturing in another supplier's price. And this is a report that through ERC, we are able to generate for you. This is what I call the blue ocean chart. And here we have gone into the med-ed service territory. Of course, there's many different service territories in Pennsylvania. We chose med-ed just because. And what we're showing here are the variable prices that we've gotten in from the different suppliers in the med-ed market. Now, this particular graph was one that we looked at for the week ending at the end of February. So it was a couple of weeks ago that we pulled this data. Again, and we can pull it for the week ending of last week at this point. So, and we can pull it for any utility that wherever you are located, or you may have facilities in multiple utilities, and we can pull this for as many utilities as you need. So we can look at all of the different locations around the Commonwealth. And what we see here, though, is really the spread of pricing that we are getting in from the different suppliers, again, that we have vetted and that we work with. So I often tell my association executives and the members, of course, that I work with, that your member or you can do this yourself. It's not rocket science. However, you may only be in the market once every 3 years. And I can tell you that the market is vastly different. The market is vastly different in 6 months, let alone in 3 years, if you only negotiate 3-year contracts. Or maybe you only negotiate 1-year contracts, and that would put you in the market about every year. And again, that market is very different. And you may only be talking to those suppliers that are at the top of the ocean. They're the ones with the highest prices. And we are able to communicate and negotiate and work with all of the different suppliers. And we would put you in contracts with those suppliers that are at the bottom of the ocean, because those are obviously the best prices that we see coming in. And even you can see that the average price isn't in the middle, it's really in the low end. So again, if you're only talking to 1 or 2 suppliers, which many times we find that to be the case for members that are doing this themselves, they're not talking to 20 suppliers by any stretch. And the other thing that we know is that there are some suppliers that only will price through brokers such as ourselves or consultants such as ourselves. They won't price directly with the member. So again, it's another added value for you. And of course, there's no upfront cost for you to use our service. So that's something to consider as well. And from that chart, we can also show you really what's been happening over time with the different contract lengths that we're seeing. Again, we kept it in the med-ed service territory. And this was for a chart that is for a 24-month trend. Of course, it's from February 17 to February of 19. And we're showing you over on the left is, and the left axis is an indices. So we don't show you exact prices here, but we wanted to share with you what prices are doing and where are they trending and what is a better option right now for you. Is it a 12-month option, which is the blue line, which you can see has been trending higher than the orange or the green line, which are 24 and 36-month pricing. We see the swing here in this particular chart to be about a 15%, maybe 10 to 15% swing. It's come down pretty steadily, but then kind of risen back up. And then we did see a spike again in December timeframe, and then we're coming back down again. So we have some additional tools that would be able to show you what may be happening in the future based on the past results that we've seen as well. So it's just a great tool for you to be able to use, another metric to look at while you are comparing different options that are in the market for you today. So in talking about what we do, I think I've alluded to that for you throughout the presentation, but I wanted to just share with you concretely what it is that we do and what does the procurement process look like for you and how do you benefit from that. So really, the first thing we'll do is evaluate your usage. We ask for you to send a bill and what we call a letter of authorization. That's just a letter. It's not even a form. It's not a legally binding document. That really enables us to go to the utility and get your usage for a year, and we'll get that electronically. And from there, we're going to structure the RFP on your behalf, and we'll submit that out to the qualified suppliers in your market. And we'll tell them that we want pricing back on a particular day at a particular time, and that they need to come to the dance at that point. And then we'll see what kind of pricing we do get back on your behalf. And then we submit the RFP, again, to the 36 vetted suppliers. As I mentioned previously, there is no upfront cost or obligation to you. Oftentimes, I tell folks, if you want to do this yourself, as you have in the past, then please do. But allow us to come and bring you some additional options, because there are many additional options out there that you may not be aware of. Again, it's a great member benefit for you. So then we'll review all the price discovery that comes in. We'll sit down with our ops team. We have Suzanne Hearn is our Vice President of Operations, and she manages a 6-person staff, I believe, in the operations department that works and negotiates on your behalf. And they are the ones that beat up the suppliers, if you will, for a better price. They'll also work with the suppliers in negotiating contract terms, because what we find is it's not always based on just the price. We want to work with you and understand what are your long-term needs and opportunities, what are your long-term concerns in the market, so that we can be sure that in that contract, we've negotiated those points for you. And again, we'll look at when is the best time to come into the market and for how long should you be in the market. And then finally, as I mentioned previously, we'll then negotiate the contract for you. Oftentimes we look at a plethora of pricing that could be from 10 to 15 different suppliers. And then we'll really hone that down to be the top 3 suppliers that we're seeing in the market, the ones whose contract terms are terms that you're looking for or that we've negotiated on your behalf. And again, we do all of this advocating only for you and never the supplier or the utility. And ultimately, this is what we bring to you. This is what we present to you. And this is where you can make an informed business decision. So you can see here, we've got several different suppliers, 8, 9 suppliers down the left-hand side of the column. This particular contract or this particular pricing just came back in on February 5th of 2019. And it's actually for a contract that's going to start if you'll see up at the top, April of 2019. I can tell you that that's not very typical for us. Typically, we like to be in the market for you at least, I would say, 6 months to 2 years ahead of time even, so that we can really work with the suppliers, negotiate on your behalf. And if you are coming up to a wall and your contract is soon to expire, we can help you, of course, in that regard. But we'd like to tell our clients to really give yourself more time than that, because the market short term is much more volatile than it would be if we were negotiating for a contract that starts perhaps in April of 20. We would be seeing much different pricing, quite frankly, than we are today. But nonetheless, we have great pricing here, and it's certainly a big swing of pricing, as we see. APPI Energy up at the top there with 35 months at 6,950. And you can see then Constellation came in at 24 months with the lowest price there at 5,399. So from 6.9 to 5.4, that's a penny and a half spread. So that's a large spread. And again, as I mentioned with the blue ocean chart, you may only be talking to the APPI Energies. Maybe that's who did your last contract, and they're calling you back and saying, oh, it's time to renew. Let's go ahead and get you renewed. And you just sign another contract with them. Instead of really making this process work on your behalf, let us go out and negotiate on your behalf and see who could be a better price for you and what's a better alternative and a better contract term. You'll also see in this chart that our typical length of contracts that we negotiate are 12, 24, 36, I would say typically 48 and up to 60. But we've also asked for any sweet spot pricing. And of course, the suppliers came through on that as well and did offer us 21-month pricing. There was one supplier there. There's a couple suppliers at a 30-month pricing. There was APPI at 35 months. So again, we not only look for the normal contract terms, but we also like to look at sweet spot, because it could be a great opportunity, a great benefit for you to get involved in that type of contract length as well. And then I wanted to share with you a little bit after the sale. So we really are a full service consulting firm here. And I mentioned Suzanne and her team on the operations side that works with the suppliers and negotiates on your behalf. And then we have our customer service team on the back end. And they will work tirelessly to make sure that there is a seamless transition. If you were with Direct Energy last time and you're moving into an agreement with Constellation, there will be no interruption in service. And of course, we make sure that that is indeed the case. The other thing is that I like to say we have a bat phone to the suppliers and the utility. If you are having any customer service issues at all, let us handle that for you. Let us be the one making the phone call to the new supplier and or the utility should there be any issue that arises. And it may be something as simple as I had this weird account all the way way off property and I forgot to include it, and can I still include it in that contract? And we can handle that for you. We've got you on that. Or it may be while we're monitoring your account that we found that there was an account that they didn't pick up. We like to encourage our clients, once they've gotten into a new agreement, to send us a copy of your bill so that we can see that in fact you are getting billed for everything that you should be billed for. Because what we find is that person in your organization that has negotiated the new contract oftentimes is not the same person that's paying the bills. So we encourage you to do that. Let us look at it and make sure that you are getting billed as you should be. And then tax exemption. That's an area that if you're in manufacturing or if you're a nonprofit, that's an area that you are tax exempt for. And if you didn't know that and have been paying the sales tax on your electricity, we can go back up to 3 years in Pennsylvania and get that money back for you. And again, that's a task that we'll take on your behalf. So keep that in mind as well. And we always want to execute a new agreement with tax exemption documents already in place, so that going forward, of course, you are exempt from any taxes. So our customer service and our consulting support and our operations team work hard to make sure that's the case for you. And then we'll continue to monitor the market. As I was showing you before, the pricing discovery that we had, that was only a month out. We'll continue to monitor, even if you sign a 3-year or a 5-year contract through us. We'll monitor that market, especially as we get closer 1 to 2 years out or so, to see what is going on in the market and in your particular service territory. How can we help, and how can we look for future cost reductions for you and begin to negotiate new contract on your behalf? Of course, as we would call renewals. But I just wanted to share with you that we are not here to make a sale with you and walk away only to come back when your renewal is happening and do that all over again. That's not it at all. We are here for a long-term relationship, as the, 20 years that we've enjoyed with PA Chamber. We like to enjoy that with our clients as well. So in an effort to offer really all things energy, we are now introducing the Energy Solutions Division for APPI, and we're really excited about this. Yes, we have definitely helped the members through lighting retrofits or some solar projects here and there, or some benchmarking as well, and of course demand response. But we've never really chosen to be in this as a member benefit, as a fully functioning division of APPI Energy. We can help you now with energy audits, utility rebates. They are vast throughout the Commonwealth, and they change often. And they're different from Med-Ed as they are from PP&L, or they may be in PICO, or Duquesne. So we can really help throughout the Commonwealth there. LED lighting and retrofits. This technology has advanced amazingly in the last 3 years. So not only is it less expensive than it used to be, but it's just a more enjoyable process than it used to be. So keep that in mind. Even if you did this 5 years ago, there may be some opportunity, and let's take a look at it and see. Let's see where that ROI comes in for you. HVAC upgrades. Again, technology has improved. Maybe it's that you don't need HVAC upgrades, but you might need controls or some variable rate motors that we can put on your systems. Solar projects. We've done several solar projects in the Commonwealth and of course throughout the United States. But again, that's an area that we've been able to help. Utility expenses, as far as benchmarking goes. This is a great way for a company that has multiple locations. Maybe it's a bank, or maybe it's a manufacturer that has many locations, or a retail establishment that has many locations, you can use this data, and it's real-time online portal data that will tell you exactly what this location is doing as far as energy goes versus this location and that location. And you can really compare and contrast so that when it is time for you to do some facility upgrades, you know which monster to go after first, because they're the ones that are using the most energy. So it's truly just remarkable benchmarking that you can do for your facilities and have your thumb on it all the time. You don't have to wait for the accounts receivable or the accounts payable to come back for you to get reports that happened a quarter ago so that you could see what was going on with your facilities. It's real-time data that's available at a fingertip, which is really exciting. And then demand response programs. These are programs that the grid system operator, the PJM, grid system operator, for instance, will pay you to shed your load. So you would sign up for this program. You would be able to prove to them that you have alternative generation for your facility, or you can shut down generation, one or the other. And then in August, when we've had our third 100-degree day in Harrisburg, and it's hot as all, and it's a Wednesday, we really need folks to shed their load. So they will call a service, or they call, the name escapes me right now, of what they call it. It's a demand response program, and then they will call you to reduce your load. And if you are able to do that, because you've shown that you've been able to do that, you'll be paid for that. And in fact, there are times where there's no event, that's what it's called. There's no event that's called at all in a year, and you've been paid handsomely throughout the year because you are paid on a monthly basis. You're not paid just that month that you reduce your load. But again, that's another way that we as Americans are trying to reduce our consumption and working diligently to be able to do that. So again, demand response programs, we offer that. We can help you with that. And so again, the Energy Solutions Division for APPI is just really exciting. We are just launching this now in the Mid-Atlantic region, including Pennsylvania, of course. And we've gotten several folks that have already begun doing some lighting retrofits. In fact, we are getting ready to move our offices and are in the midst of a lighting retrofit as we speak. So that's exciting to be able to see that that really come into play and to be around that every day. So we're looking forward to that. And then a little bit about APPI Energy. We have been in business since 1996. So we were only 3 years old when we began our relationship with the PA Chamber and many, many other associations. In fact, we are endorsed by approximately 160 national and state trade associations and many in the Commonwealth. We have approximately 1,550 or 1,500 commercial and industrial accounts under contract throughout the United States. We have almost 8,000 accounts alone in Pennsylvania. So you can see that Pennsylvania is a huge market for us. Pennsylvania, although I live and reside in Maryland, I can tell you, and Lori can attest, that me or someone from APPI is in Pennsylvania probably almost every day of the year, definitely every week of the year. So I spend a lot of time there in Harrisburg and throughout the Commonwealth, quite frankly. And we manage 10 billion kWh and about 18 million decatherm of natural gas. And we have 42 employees headquartered in Salisbury, Maryland, and we do have offices throughout the United States, and look forward to working with you and seeing if we can help you in any way. And with that, I'll conclude and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Jane and Lori. At this point, we do invite any participants to ask questions through the webcast system. If you have difficulty sending your question, please email them to jcgraves@apppienergy.com.
Well, perfect timing. We got our first one. This is Lori. Jane, what if a member is currently in a contract and it doesn't expire, say, until October 2020?
Great. So as I mentioned before, we really would encourage you to go ahead and send in your bills and have you sign a letter of authorization so that we can queue you up in our system, get you with one of our consultants here. That would be the one that you would work with on an ongoing basis. And we wanted to we'll understand what your needs are going to be. And again, we can share with you when strong market opportunities are for you to buy. And we'll begin to get pricing in. Doesn't mean that you've got to do anything right now. You may want to wait. You may have a very ultra conservative board that doesn't want you to do anything until, I don't know, I'll say, the summer prior to October. We wouldn't recommend that, most likely, but again, it's on your timeline, but I'd say let's take a look at it and get started.
Thank you, Jane. We do have another question for you. What type of member would benefit from a lighting retrofit that you mentioned in regards to the Solutions Division?
Great. So a perfect member for the lighting retrofit, and I say the perfect member because I'm referring to it financially and really from a financial basis only. Because keep in mind, banks, for instance, may not be the perfect lighting retrofit candidate, but they have other reasons for doing that, such as sustainability and green and just being good corporate stewards of the environment. But a great financial benefit or candidate, for this would be somebody that has a large burn time. So a manufacturer that is running 3 shifts, that has lights on and equipment on all the time. A car dealership that has their lights on 24/7. Boroughs or municipalities that have street lights and their lights on 24/7. So there are really, when you think about a good ROI with regard to lighting retrofit, you want to think about a good burn time or a large burn time. But again, everybody has different reasons for coming into that market, and it could very well be sustainability and environmental concerns.
Great, thank you. It looks as if at this time we have no further questions. I'd like to thank everyone for participating in today's webinar. A special thank you to Lori Reddy for joining us today, and to our presenter, Jane Seagraves Sidebottom. Today's program is a copyright 2019 of APPI Energy with all rights reserved. This concludes today's program. You may now disconnect. Thank you for joining.